truth to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Come on, man.
Hello, and welcome back to the Ask Johnny channel, the least watched channel in YouTube history. Today we're getting onto the subject of what's news and what isn't. And to do that, we're going to go straight as usual to Ask Johnny. G'day Johnny, here we are for another edition of Ask Johnny. G'day Johnny, let's get into it. Yeah, we'll get onto it then, Johnny. This one's from Wally, and Wally's in Tasmania. Hello to everybody down in Tasmania, thanks for watching us. But Johnny, Wally asks, Johnny, what's going on with so-called news these days? Why do we get a different view of events depending on what station you watch? Your honest, hard-hitting comments will be most appreciated, Johnny. And that's from Wally in Tasmania. Thanks, Wally. Thanks for watching. Johnny, is there a different view presented on whatever network you're watching? The news bullshit? Oh, God, we've been going round and round with this for years, Johnny. When I was a little boy, back on the farm in the 60s with black and white TV, when the news came on, we knew it was the bloody correct news. There was no doubt about it. In fact, everyone just believed it like it was bloody gospel. Oh yeah, you've got a point there, Johnny. Maybe there was bias back then in those days, Johnny. We were just too bloody stupid to realise it. By Jesus, whatever those very dignified newsreaders read, and they mainly read it, we didn't go to all these crosses here and crosses there and live from... And if you went from station to station, you bloody near got the same thing. Now, Johnny, this so-called different stances that these channels take is very evident in the good old USA. Jesus, too can't be right. It seems the Fox network, it seems to say whatever it bloody well wants to say, and what they call the mainstream media seems to have a totally different bloody view. But you wouldn't know. But on it, by Jesus, never was it more apparent when the good old Trumpster was in power. Old Trumpy leaving has left a big void for these mainstream channels to cover.
We're going to build the wall. We have no choice. We have no choice.
But here's a bit of a view, good old Tucker. Tucker from Fox News. He's getting into a CNN reporter on the way the riots and all the bloody bullshit last year were handled by mainstream media. Have a look.
Any police stations, because you can't burn a police station because there are police there.
Burning a police station?
Armed, and they represent the law. They enforce the law. So you can't burn down a police station, because if they let you do that, then you know the whole system is crumbled.
The fire engines can't get in here. There is no ability to bring anybody in here to solve this problem. So I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly.
It's the greatest tape ever. You've probably seen it 100 times. We watch it every morning just for edification. It's mostly a protest, he said. Flames in the background. It's generally speaking not unruly.
What if he's got a bloody knife?
He couldn't even describe what he was seeing accurately. What a gaffe!
Yeah, I just want the news to be bloody right, Johnny.
But it wasn't a gaffe. It was not taken out of context. In fact, it was MSNBC's explicit editorial policy to lie about what you were watching live, to characterize violent riots as peaceful protests.
So the largely right-facing channels, which is Fox News specifically, they reckon the riots were a terrible bloody thing and should be stamped out immediately. Oh yeah, that's right. And the mainstream media, well, they said, well, they were just people demonstrating their discontent with the local government. And then there's the mainstream media in America, covering the bit of a ruckus they had at Congress there when a couple of thousand people strode in there and took over the joint. That bloke with a buffalo hat and everything, oh, what a look he had. Right. Yeah, Fox said it was just decent American people showing their discontent with the way things are going in the government. But mainstream media said, oh, it's the biggest threat to democracy since the Civil War.
Rewriting history is something usually associated with communists and Confederates. But we're witnessing an attempt to rewrite history around January 6th in real time. Now, sometimes it's blatant, even beyond Trump's chronic lies. Like Tucker Carlson's Fox Nation doc suggesting it was all a false flag operation. Or
Yeah, he's got a point there.
flag operation. Or Trumpite congressmen pretending the attackers were tourists and then calling them political prisoners. Or this jackass.
Did Trump win or lose the election?
I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Because here's
the
the problem.
world does.
If you
Yeah, I don't know whether to believe Tucker or not. You could argue and say it's got bloody problems on its borders. You can't have any doubt about that. People just seem to be coming and going. More coming than going. More coming than going. And Trumpy, he said he was going to put up his wall.
Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that.
But I was like a lot of people. I said, you got to build a wall. You just can't have people coming in willy-nilly. And yeah, a wall would be good. But I didn't realise, and I didn't hear, and I didn't see any reports that the wall was going to do this sort of thing.
When the Biden administration took over, construction stopped. But before leaving, construction crews used the remnants of old steel border barriers to block access to the new wall. Just a few months ago, all you could hear out here was the sounds of heavy machinery, construction crews, and explosive detonations blasting into the mountains. Landscape that now looks like this.
Now, if I'd heard that, me in Australia, I've got no bloody say in it anyway, but I would have thought, Jesus, Trumpy, you got to go a bit easy there. You just can't blast your way through the fucking Heritage Mountains.
Enraging. Frankly, I'm so tired of watching these beautiful landscapes pay the price of politics, of really poor decision making.
But we didn't hear a bloody word about that. I don't think the mainstream media knew he was going to do that either, but it was being done. But the US isn't an island, and it's got to cover its borders. The way it's doing that seems to be largely dependent, Johnny, on which bloody network you watch. And in Australia, we've got the mainstream media too that seem to report along the lines that the government wants it to, which is a bit of a worry.
But we will bring them to you. But yesterday here in the CBD, around 4,000 protesters marched through the city. Many of them were not wearing masks. Some set off flares and there were violent clashes with police. In the midst of that chaos, 7 police officers were injured. 6 had to be taken to hospital. They had a range of injuries, including broken noses and also concussions. In total, 218 people were arrested. 3 of those remain in custody.
Which is a bit of a worry. And then you've got good old Sky News, which is an affiliation of Fox, I think, here in Australia. And they're all on about the freedoms being breached, police brutality, all that sort of shit. Shit that you wouldn't just see on the mainstream channels.
I showed you these horrific pictures last week of police brutality as part of the Victorian coronavirus response. This was one of them. Now, it's not extraordinary that none of this merited the attention, the criticism, or condemnation of anyone.
But there was another big media story in Victoria this week with police censoring vital media coverage of the protests by banning the live streaming of aerial footage. So incompetent were the police to stop the rioting protesters that on Wednesday they turned on the media, blaming websites such as skynews.com.au for giving the public immediate access to this information.
Are you eating that apple? Are you still eating that apple? Get the fucking thing out of your mouth. Johnny, I think things have gone too far. With all this social media and everything that people just believe what they feel they want to believe because they're being fed all sorts of different bloody views from different networks. Oh yeah, the old news broadcasts. But let me tell you now, Johnny, you and all the bloody viewers out there watching, the thousands of you, the Ask Johnny channel, we'll fight for the truth and a decent perspective on all news. Johnny, I don't think a bit of this has sunk into that fucking thick skull of yours. what did you think of that? You know, a wise man once said to me, he said, Johnny, no news is good news unless it's fucking bullshit, and then it's bullshit.
The Rifleman.